Good evening, I'm back. I'm your host, Jack Remington, the Jack Remington Political Analyst channel. I'm going to put up the cover of the Sunday Los Angeles Times. I know today is Tuesday, November 15th, but this is very important. It leads to the entire video. The front headline, Democrats hold Senate, okay? And the subtext, the subheading, in Arizona, election officials rebuff big lie and littler lies. The first time I've ever seen in press, I hardly ever use the word littler any time in my life, but there it is, littler lies, the Los Angeles Times. So why is that important for this video? Well, we're going to talk about the election denialism. It's a new term, is going to be part of the vernacular from here on out, especially when you're hitting the head against the Republicans. And we're going to talk about the 3 reasons why I feel that Kari Lake lost the election in Arizona for governor. It was called last night. So it's a quick recap of what she did. It was 88% precincts were in, and Katie Hobbs had a 31,000 vote lead, still less than 1%. Mathematically, Kari Lake was within striking distance. So there was 2 batch recounts between Sunday night and Monday night. The first batch, she picked up 7,000 votes and knocked it down to 24,000 and a couple. Just over 7,000 she picked up. About 12 hours later, another batch that got up to 94% precincts reporting, that she picked up another 6,000, got it to within like 17,775. The 6% left remaining, it got down to 2%, and then she didn't gain that much at all. She only gained a couple thousand. And so the Associated Press called the race for Katie Hobbs, the Democrat. So on my first feed from last night, I tried to do the video last night and I couldn't do it, was too tired, and I deleted everything, start over really quick. The top stories, New York Times, Katie Hobbs tops Kari Lake for Arizona governor. The next article, in the quadrant of 4 articles here, The Guardian, over the pond in the United Kingdom, quote, Katie Hobbs defeats election denier Kari Lake in Arizona governor race. And there's 2 more articles from New York Times. Republicans 1 seat away from control of the House. That's irrelevant for this video. The next New York Times article, Katie Hobbs, who defied Trump in Arizona, tops Kari Lake for governor. So 2 out of the 3 articles that are top feed for the New York Times to my feed through Google is something about Donald Trump or denying the 2020 election. So let's go to the one article that was the very first one. Katie Hobbs tops Kari Lake for Arizona governor. The subheading says, Ms. Hobbs, Arizona Secretary of State, narrowly defeated Ms. Lake, a former newscaster whose campaign was built on lies about the 2020 election. Okay, now stick with me then. So we got the title, not defy Trump, and now the subheading, lies on the 2020 election. So we got a double whammy here. Katie Hobbs, who was Arizona Secretary of State, stood up to efforts by allies, former President Donald J. Trump, to overturn the 2020 election, has clinched a victory in the state's race for governor, according to the Associated Press. That's the first paragraph, and we already talked about Donald Trump overturning the election. Second paragraph, quote, Ms. Hobbs, a Democrat, narrowly defeated Kari Lake, a right-wing former newscaster who was talked about as a future leader in a Trump-dominated Republican Party, in a bitter and closely watched race that became a final test of whether candidates molded in Mr. Trump's image could win in battlegrounds. Ms. Lake, one of the most prominent purveyors of Mr. Trump's lies about his 2020 election, followed several other election-denying candidates in defeat. So, another double whammy in the second paragraph. They got Mr. Trump's image, most prominent purveyor of Mr. Trump's lies about the 2020 election. Well, the triple whammy, followed by several other election-denying candidates in defeat. So you're talking about 3 different things in the second paragraph. We got 5 mentions of the Trump and or the election. Everything's related to Donald Trump in the title, subtitle, and the first 2 paragraphs. Okay, because this is called election denialism. Read the quote here, and I'll play the clip. The very first time in my life I heard it's called election denialism. So profound, I had to write it down. I just cannot believe this is happening. But it is. And it's very effective. That helped turn the tide against the Republicans. It helped stop the red tsunami, turn into a red puddle, if that. So what else is disturbing about this article is that a couple paragraphs down, quote, after the race was called on Monday night, Ms. Lake did not concede defeat, instead suggesting without citing evidence that the vote was marred. Quote, Arizona's no BS when they see it, she tweeted. This has got to be really careful here with Republicans from here on out, because this election denialism, and the first time I heard it from Liz Cheney, and she was giving a speech on Veterans Day, which really ticked me off, further destroying both the Republican Party and the American Constitution and the American Constitutional Republic, as it were.
Echo what our speakers have said about wonderful to be here on Veterans Day and have the chance to thank everyone in our audience who served our nation for the fundamental defense of our freedoms. So thank you, and wonderful to be back at Chicago. Always. I spent many happy hours at the Oriental Institute just across the street. You could take 2 classes when I was at the law school, outside the law school, for credit. And I took Egyptian archaeology classes for both of those and loved it. So anyway, it's wonderful to be back. And look, I think in terms of the election, the fact that we are here on Friday and we do not know which party is going to control the House or the Senate tells you a lot about defying expectations. I think about the extent to which it was a victory for Team Normal. I think you saw many candidates who were reflecting sort of the election denialism.
Liz Cheney's on her revenge politics of hatred against Donald Trump because he put down her daddy back in 2011. And I'll be playing that in my video when I do my next Liz Cheney video. And it's from Bill O'Reilly. I didn't get permission from Bill O'Reilly. I'm just plain do it because this has got to stop. Liz Cheney really hurt the Republicans and hurt her country and hurt herself and her own legacy, but she doesn't care. She's out to get Donald Trump no matter what. Liz Cheney donating money, raised money for this Katie Hobbs Democrat to beat Kari Lake because she was endorsed by Donald Trump. And she did this to other candidates too, even though she cost herself her own seat. But that's a different video for a different day. This election denialism is hurting the GOP and it's hurting a lot of candidates. And I'm sure it helped contribute to their defeat in the midterms here. However, moving forward, let me give you the 3 reasons why I think Kari Lake lost the election. In my opinion, it was a very winnable election for her because Katie Hobbs is not the strongest candidate in the world. And I'm not going to put her down per se. Number 1, she did not ignore the Liz Cheneys of the world who raised money and sent money to the opponents. Kari Lake fought back, kind of like what Donald Trump would do. And then I'm pro Donald Trump when I say this. I'm not putting down Donald Trump. I'm just telling his behavior and how he reacts to this knee jerk. And I'm like that too in a lot of ways. I mean, you may not think so on the camera, but I am. But I confess, you want truth, you're going to get truth on this channel. But so Kari Lake fires back and says, "Hey Liz, thanks for sending me all this, extra money because it's fired up my base and people are realizing what you've done." And I'm paraphrasing. But what she did, Kari Lake, she opened the door for Liz Cheney to say, "Well, now that you lost, you're welcome." That really irks the hell out of me. If that was my campaign, that would be the worst reason for me. But that's actually a minor reason, so that's why I put it as number 1. A bigger reason, number 2, is that she had bad advisors. Her advisors telling her, "Well, don't worry, tell everybody you're going to win because, we got 12% left remaining on late Saturday night. You're less than 1%. The handoff people are going to be overwhelmingly Republican," which is not necessarily true. You cannot determine that with such a batch-oriented thing with handheld. I mean, you don't know who's going to be coming in. That was bad advice. Her advisor should have told her not to say that. Something better watered down, and without keep calling Katie Hobbs incompetent, whether it's true or not, in my opinion, made her look bad. This was American national news, this Arizona race. It got the focus of the attention, and I think Katie could have toned it down a little bit. It's a bit hard for me to do that, I confess. But for her to win this election, she should have toned it down a bit. Just say it one time. Katie Hobbs refused to debate me because she's a coward. Just say it one time and then let everybody else digest that for a while. Because things are happening fast with the midterms. Her advisors, I think, gave her bad advice. And I think she should fire them all. If she had me for an advisor, campaign manager, the assistant campaign manager, a political strategist, or just plain political consultant, I would advise her. I would say, "Look, Miss Lake, this is what you do. You say, I have evidence that I'm going to prove, and if she really has it, Katie Hobbs botched 13,000 Republican ballots through some machine malfunction." What she could have done was say, Katie Hobbs needs to explain what happened to the 13,000 ballots that got caught, that the GOPers, the Republican voters, couldn't vote, and they weren't going to be counted. So let's ask her that question during the debate. If she had worded it like something like that, instead of calling her incompetent and calling her a coward repeatedly, it would have made her look a lot better. And it got her away from Trump. That's something that Trump would say. And I love Donald Trump. He's the best president of my lifetime. But the majority of the country don't think so. And the more they attack him, because he hasn't said anything in a year and a half, and it's just going to keep compounding. And today's the day Donald Trump makes his announcement for what he's going to do. I don't think he's going to run. So I'll leave it on the video, and I'll take egg on my face. I don't think he's going to run because he sees that he blew a lot of chances. He's a rookie politician. Kari Lake, a rookie politician. Her advisors, they're probably rookies. I don't know who they are. I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. She got bad advice. if that was her campaign managers and people she's working with told her to say these things in order to at least say, hey, Kari, can you tone it down and say it this way? Run it past her. Then you could tell her, as your advisor, this is my recommendations. Now, if she goes and does what Donald Trump does and a couple other people do, then that's on her. That's good and fine. But I think she got bad advice. I could just read between the lines. I could smell it a mile away. And she probably tried to hire the best people that she could at the time. I mean, I didn't even know who she was until just recently. Jimmy Carter was Zabriskie and his Georgia crew heard him when he became the president of the United States in 1976. The very first election I ever voted for, I voted for Gerald Ford. But I'm going to tell you the biggest reason, the number 3 reason, the biggest reason, the worst reason that Kari Lake needs to learn from, and that she told the world that I'm going to do a scorched party. I'm going to defy Joe Biden. I'm going to close the border. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get rid of these people. Let me disclaimer this. Let me pretext this. She's married to a good man, Hispanic American, 100% guy. He's a good guy. Over 20 years. They got 3 kids together. So they're half Latino, half white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Kari Lake is the 9th child of some farm croppers in Iowa, I believe, or somewhere in the Midwest. So she had a lot of Latino support. This is what my Mexican American friends told me. And I've been asking for the last few days. The ones that are willing to talk to me, and the ones that are civil with me, that don't go crazy on me, want to kill me or shoot me or cancel me, whatever. And most of them are actually on the other side. When we go back and forth, it's never been a problem for years. I've known these people. I work with some of these people. I've known some of these people for 20-some years since I've been in Ventura County, California. They're great Americans. Okay, the Hispanic Americans, the good ones, most of them are good. Okay, they're family-oriented and they're religious. That's a double whammy. That was part of our founding in 1776 through the founding fathers. So they have the ingredients what it takes to keep our country alive and keep it together. Doesn't matter what race they are. It's their ideology. They're hardworking. I mean, they outwork anybody. Give me a run for my money. And rightfully so. They told me it's frightened the people. She frightened the Hispanic Latino community. And Arizona's got a big population now. Not quite like the percentage per capita like California. It's getting pretty large. And they have a border problem too. Okay, but not quite as bad as some of these other places. Not quite as bad as Texas, New Mexico, and actually parts of California. Arizona, in my opinion, from what I've been reading and hearing and people telling me, Arizona doesn't have that much problem. And the ones that do get through, they get assimilated. And because of Sheriff Joe Arpaio they had years ago, they've learned how to hide it better, stay under the ground, stay under the radar. The Republican Hispanic American told me that, you can't vote against your family. They have relatives that they're in Nogales, Mexico. They don't have enough money to pay a coyote to get over here. That's wrong. I'm not for that. But they told me that they know of people and they've heard of people and tell you stories, make your hair stand on the back of your neck stand straight up and do dances. The trouble they had to go through, the danger, they risked their lives in the county, Arizona. That one county alone, there's a death a week because their kidneys fail and they get dehydrated. They coyotes take their money and leave them to just sit there, let the woman or the child sit there. That is so wrong on its face. It's bad for the illegal immigrant. I'm not defending illegal immigrants either. I'm just telling you that it's lost its race because she frightened the people that she was trying to get to. She was trying to get to the established Hispanic Americans in Arizona and get them to vote her away. It's an uphill battle. It's a slow battle. She reversed the course. She needed to tone it down somewhat. She needed to get away from the Trumpism. That's how Donald Trump used to word things. But he got away with it because they understood what he was coming from, and he was kind of an established brand with the Trump Incorporated. They knew who Donald Trump was. She come out of nowhere. She's a TV lady. Who she thinks she's Donald Trump, the daughter or something. And it was a very profound comment. I mean, I can't make this up. He has a point. Because Donald Trump was a TV reality star, and he was a game show host, a good equivalent, and he was a billionaire, a skyscraper casino magnate. But he didn't come out of nowhere, and people said, I'm not so sure about this stuff. And the Independent said, no, I can't. She might be a little unhinged, and she's going to get rid of people. Whether it's right or wrong, whether you agree with the illegal immigration policy or the illegal immigration issue at all, no matter what side you're on or what sides you're on, how you interpret it, you can't frighten people. And I don't think Kari Lake frightened them per se. She didn't understand these people like she thought she did, even though she has a Hispanic family. She should have just did a little more outreach and said, well, it goes back to number 2. She should have got better advisors. And I'm still going to write her a nice letter. I'm going to wait a week or two, and hopefully she'll read it. And I'm going to try to make the most professional letter I've ever written in my life. But if you think I'm not a very good speaker, I'm not a very good YouTuber, but damn it, I can write, and I can think, and I can run businesses, and I can do a lot of things. So, and that's easily proven on my other YouTube channel. I got 12 channels. I'm here to tell you, this Kari Lake, it was a winnable race. Arizona was once the second reddest state for 2 decades. And when Senator McCain was there, with his political power, his political capital, and political experience, and he uses military service. He was a POW. Initially, he was a very powerful senator, and I voted for him in 2008. I now regret that vote, but the point is, Arizona was the second reddest state behind Virginia for the longest time, and now Wyoming. I mean, Wyoming is the reddest state, and Arizona still held a pretty good mantle as far as the GOP and the Republican stronghold. Retired firefighters, policemen, teachers, you name it, plumbers, retired civil servants, retired NASA, anything. But now the whole country is being engulfed for different factors beyond the scope of this video. This is not a slam on illegal immigration. I'll say it now on this video. I am against illegal immigration. I'm all for legal immigration because we have a process that's been in place since 1790. Okay, and yes, it was exclusive. The Democrats twist this thing to inclusivity. Well, that's to get rid of the 1790 groupthink. We want certain people that are easily to assimilate and understand and come from our culture that came here in the first place, brought over from British 1776. And I was speaking really fast, got a long video, I'm going to cut it out. Leading this back to the election denialism, okay, it's now Kari Lake is forever going to have that label stuck on her head, election denier. That's going to be hard to overcome. Now, I understand she's a rookie politician. She did very well for her first time out. She hit a long fly ball, but it went foul. Okay, she didn't make it. I know she's not going to watch this video, and she may take my letter and just rip it up in shreds like Nancy Pelosi did Donald Trump's mandate on that State of the Union address, and give me the finger, here, old guy in California, here, I got this for you. And she may do that, and that's good and fine. It's a free country. She can either listen to the advice or just read the advice and just throw it away, or just deny it altogether, just refuse it. I don't know what she's going to do. So, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try to I'm going to send her a nice letter, and I'm going to be as nice as I possibly can to her. I'm not faulting Kari Lake for being Kari Lake. She is who she is. But yes, I want her to win pretty bad, and I got invested in this race. But there's some things, there's 3 reasons why she lost the race. And the biggest one to me, she frightened the very electorate in that state of Arizona that's growing and getting more votes, more registered voters. She needs to win them over, not I'm going to throw these people out. Which she could. One last thing before I close this video out, she could have said, I'm going to reach across. Well, she did in part say, I'm going to reach out to the legislature and work with some of these issues. So I'm sure that was from her campaign staffers that helped her with that. But the next part of her sentence, I mean, I couldn't believe this. And I'm going to do that. She started the Trumpism. The Trumpism has been fatigued, it's been overdone, overused, and the mainstream media helped prop it and pimp it to death. So, in a roundabout way, Trump killed himself, but it took a long time for it to kill him. So, and if Donald Trump does run, if he surprises me, and he says I'm going to give it my best shot, I'm coming back in 2024. I'm going to announce, I'm going to ask Mr. DeSantis to be my vice president. And even if DeSantis accepts, I don't think it'll be enough to save him. I think Donald Trump will lose again in 2024 because the Democrats, the people that own this country, are going to make sure he doesn't ever get back in office again because he choked off their money spigot. He vetoed every big bill that came across his desk. This video is by Kari Lake and about the election denialism. It's a very dangerous thing when the mainstream media is not helping and Liz Cheney's not helping and the other rhinos not helping. And people didn't know her, and they thought, this TV lady, and she may be pretty, and she's dynamic, and she speaks well, and she's got the issues down. Her website's fantastic, but you know what? I'm not so sure about this thing about the illegal immigration. I mean, that's not her job. That's the federal government's job. And yes, they're technically right, but Kari Lake understands, like Mr. Abbott of Texas and DeSantis of Florida, Joe Biden's not going to do anything. He's encouraging it. Him and Kamala Harris, the borders are. They're encouraging it because they're planting future Democrat-dependent voters. Enough of that. Thank you. Always great day to be an American. Long live the Constitution. Long live our constitutional republic and the rule of law. And we got to find a way to take our country back. Stay tuned for the next video, part 4 of 4, the last of the 2020 midterm races. Thank you. I'm Jack Remington. Please like, share, comment. Just don't threaten and curse me. Okay, I may leave the cursing up, but don't threaten me. Okay, I've been getting some of that lately, so please don't do that. I'm acting in good faith. I'm trying to get good videos out and good information out. I'm trying to get it out quickly. The last 7 days, I picked up a subscriber. That's 7 days in a row, I picked up 1 subscriber. So let's get this channel moving. Let's get the information out there. Let's go back and forth. That's what America's all about. Thank you. Have a great day.